Welcome back. Today we are going to talk about technologies, or more specifically, sustainability-related technologies. And there are a variety of reasons why we do this. First and foremost, because as we already pointed out multiple times, we are running out of time in our fight against climate change and environmental pollution. The 1.5 degree of global warming has long passed. Right now, we're heading towards something like 3 degrees global warming. If we continue doing what we do, we have roughly 8 billion people on this planet, and there's a lively discussion whether it's actually possible to do all of this without technologies. So can we make it without technologies, or are technologies the only way for us to continue living on this planet? And there is a rather broad spectrum where some people on one side say, look, technologies are definitely not the way to go. We should try to make without technologies or with little technology as possible, because even in this room where we're recording this lecture, we have, for example, cameras. The camera has to be operated, it uses electricity, the camera has to be produced and delivered to us, which all consumes some kind of resources and causes a certain amount of environmental pollution. And on the other side of the spectrum, we have people who believe that technology is not only going to save us, but it's also going to be the only way to save us, and that technology will be so great that we don't even have to change any of our habits. So we can still fly to New York 5 times a year, because all the greenhouse gas emissions and the environmental pollution caused by our trips to New York will be somehow compensated by technology, for example, carbon capture and storage or anything else. So in this short series, we're going to look at some examples of different technologies and what they are supposed to do, what can they do, what can they not do, how can you assess the usefulness and the effectiveness, efficiency of some of those technologies, how can you tell whether they are greenwashing or not. Sustainability-related technologies can be usually divided into 2 categories. The first category tries to mitigate negative effects, like mitigating climate change or mitigating environmental pollution, by deploying or essentially creating technologies that help us, for example, to reduce or prevent greenhouse gas emissions. So you could switch from a fuel-based car to an electric battery vehicle. And the second category of technologies is essentially trying to start when you can't mitigate anything anymore, where mitigation didn't work or is too late, and then you have to adapt to a new environment. For example, in agriculture, you might find yourself, thanks to climate change and environmental pollution, in a world where it's quite difficult to do traditional farming because there is too much pollution in your farm space, in your agricultural land, or temperatures are too high or too many extreme weather events, and then you have to figure out alternative ways to produce sufficient amounts of food. To do so, we prepared 3 examples and use cases for you to illustrate how different technologies can have an impact or not on sustainability-related topics. First, we're going to talk about alternative sources of energy, and specifically going into the direction of electrification and how can I decarbonize the sources of energy that I use to emit fewer greenhouse gas emissions and also limit my environmental pollution. Second, we're going to talk about carbon capture and storage for those emissions that we cannot prevent but still have to somehow remove or prevent from coming into the environment. And last but not least, we will talk about resilient food production.